G'day gamers, Ranger Tony here, and today I'm going to start a playthrough of Stoneshard. I bought this just recently and I'm having a lot of fun with it, so I thought I'd bring you along. We're going to start completely again, do the entire prologue and go the way through. When I get to choose a character, I am going to choose Derwin the Ranger. That's what I do. So we're going to see how well ranged plays in this game. But there is one thing I want to point out first. And that is the game is in early beta. It may change, so keep an eye on what I'm saying, but take it with a grain of salt, because a lot of this stuff may change, and they do seem to be doing fairly recent releases. So let's start a new game in the prologue.
Damn it. Where am I?
You are awake. Just in time for the ritual. We'll have a use for you. So very soon. Don't try anything funny or you'll end up like one of your friends. Perhaps I should check on him again. All that fresh blood. That must have drained by now.
Curses. Doesn't look like we won that fight. I need to get out of here before this bastard returns. Looks like my shackles are rusted to the core.
Okay, so I'm going to go through this prologue and the whole tutorial, but the first thing to notice is that you only play this guy for the tutorial, nothing else. So don't be too worried about that. You do get to choose a character later on. You can't make your own character at this point. That will be coming eventually, though, from what you can see in the game. But yeah, don't worry too much that you've started with this guy and don't really have much of a choice. So we need to open our inventory. I'll leave these hints on. We need to take those off, and in fact I'm going to throw them away. One of the things, and I'm going to probably stress this a few times while playing, is that don't keep anything in your inventory that you don't need when playing the prologue, because you don't play this character again from what I can see. So carrying around extra weapons or anything that you think is valuable because you're going to be able to sell it later, no. So we need to examine the cell. Let's have a look at...
Your bad feeling was spot on this time. They didn't search him. Bad move. No offense, buddy. But you won't need all these things anymore.
Okay, so we've got a few things there. So we're suffering from hunger, so we need to drink. So what I always do is I bring up my character sheet as well, and I go over to the health tab, which is what I leave it on most of the time because this is the most useful information in the game. And we can see my hunger and thirst right there. So if I go drink, my hunger goes down to 0, and if I eat, it's going to go down to 5 because bread gives you 20. And I have a bung leg, but there's nothing I can do about that at this point. Let's come over here. So we need to pick the locks. This is one mechanic in the game that I would like to change. I'd like to be able to put the lock, say, down on one of these bars so that I can just click on that and then click it, because at the moment the only way to do it is to come into your inventory, go right click, apply, and then click on the lock that you want to open. It's a little bit of a pain.
Survivor. Got to arm myself and find the rest.
So we're going to arm ourselves with this iron bar briefly so that we can get things sorted. I'm going to go into these cells that do have the bodies because some of them do occasionally have something else apart from their shackles on them. There is some element of random in the game. And so the other thing, I guess, is that right now we can see that we can attack that barrel. Nothing fell down. If you're having problems seeing what has fallen out, if you hold down the Alt key, you can see it has highlighted any sort of things that you can interact with. So if I had have seen something in this area around here, it might have been something that I had just smashed out of that barrel. Okay, so there's a ring. I can't identify it yet, but there is a silver ring there, which might come in handy, so that is
Cages are
good.
unlocked, and blood trails are fresh. Looks like everyone was taken somewhere. Seems like I was the only one to be left in the dungeon. That's strange.
And I suppose the other thing to say, and I'm not trying to be too critical about the game, but at this stage, be prepared that those monologues, those voices are only going to be in the prologue. There's not really much in the way of voice acting for the rest of the game that I can recall at this point, so just be aware of that. And still nothing interesting came out of that. Nothing on his corpse. And as I've said, you'll notice I haven't been picking up any of the shackles or anything because I can't use them for anything anyway.
How did you get out? You are dead!
Oh, there's a carrot there. We want that. Okay, so turn-based combat. Standard sort of thing. If I move forward here, he's got an action straight away, so he's going to attack me. So I'm better off to skip a turn so that he moves forward, and then I get an attack before he does. And there we go, and he's dropped a shiv. Right now, this seems stupid, but it's not. I find dual wielding in this game to be incredibly powerful. So we're going to do that. And that's, of course, locked.
Burn. Bled to death. Such a foolish way to go. Looks like there is a trap. I have to take a look around unless I want to share his fate.
So now we get this ability to detect traps. So we're going to do that, and we find the trap directly in front of it. When it turns into a little cog like this, you can click on it, and don't assume you've disarmed it until you actually see the succeeds down there in the text. And that's another thing. Keep an eye on that, because particularly when you're wandering around outside, you might not, like the game will say that you notice something, but you might not have actually seen it on the map, but it's down there and it's real, so be aware of it. Okay, that sash is going to just, all this does is make it so that we don't fumble quite as much in combat. I don't know what
Damn, I forgot about my leg. Hurts more and more. I need to find something to treat the wound before it festers.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how the fumble mechanic works. You do see down here when you look at your weapons. So the interesting thing to note, because I have chosen to go dual weapons, it's showing me my main hand damage and my offhand damage and my efficiency with the two hands. I've got my accuracy and I've got my fumble chance. Fumble goes down a little bit when I'm only using one weapon, but you'll notice that my main hand and weapon damage goes back up to 100. Right, when those efficiencies were down a little bit. So I don't understand fully how the percentages and everything work, but it feels for me like two weapons works better, even though if you've got a shield, you're going to get better protection.
All these boxes will surely find something in them.
Okay, this part of the game can be a little buggy, so the idea is you search this box first, grab all of that.
Can use this to patch up my leg.
Now, patch up your leg, don't go and search everywhere else, because sometimes it doesn't quite work out what you're doing. So we're going to have a look at the health. And it shows us that we have a mild leg injury. It's wounded, it's giving us pain. Pain is an interesting mechanic. Once you get to, as it shows you there, once you get to 25, 50, and 75%, you get negative effects. So at the moment, our pain is increasing our fumble chance and decreasing our chance to heal, but also increasing the amount of damage we get by 10%. So what we want to do is, well, this is the thing. So it will give you suggestions as to what you can do. So we'll apply the splint, and the splint heals a lot of the damage, and then we can apply a healing salve to do a little bit more. So that's got us at a pretty good health. But, okay, it wants us to relieve the pain. So here's the thing. You have your health here, but you also have the body parts, and by healing those body parts, it has done nothing to our overall health. And it, of course, hasn't done anything to our pain. So we can take this ether inhaler and basically get high, and it removes our pain, but now we're intoxicated, we're impaired. But you'll notice it still hasn't restored our health. Okay, so we're going to take the antidote, which is going to remove the intoxication, and so that's all good. But again, still haven't recovered our health. So what we need to do now is we need to rest, because, well, the intoxication has made us clumsy, but we shouldn't have that anymore because we just took the antidote. Our intoxication should have been gone.
That's better. At least I'll live. Time to move.
Okay, so the thing is, anytime you lose health, I've only found one item in the game that can instantly restore health, and that there is a potion that will do that, and it will restore 30% of your health at a go. Eating doesn't help. Eating just fixes your hunger, and they give you negative effects as well. So when you're too hungry, too thirsty, too intoxicated, or too pained, you get negative effects. Now, I haven't seen any problems with morale or sanity in the game yet. Whether that's because they don't exist yet, or because I've been lucky enough to not see them, I don't know. So we're going to raid the rest of this place. If we hold down Alt again, we can see that there's a doublet here, there's some traveling shoes there, and there's a rack there. So let's get that. Let's get that, and let's look in the rack. Now the rack, this contains, as I said, all of the weapons. So the choices are to decide what weapons we want to carry. We're going to put on the doublet and get rid of the pants. We're going to put on the boots. Now what I actually really wanted to do at some point and forgot to do before this is we can learn a lot of this stuff at some point. I am going to be taking ranged weapons with this guy because that's the sort of person I am. I have in the past used daggers and I have used axes, but I haven't really used swords or great swords very much. I want a dual wield. So this first ability here, so generally with most of these ones, there'll be a primary ability which just is something which allows you to jump in and do a bit more damage. And you've also got staves as well that you can use. The sword one that does more damage, you attack 3 adjacent tiles. So if you've got 3 people lined up, sort of say, well, there, and there, I could attack all 3 at once. I don't know if that works on corners or not, so if I attacked here, whether it would attack there and there. I've not used this one, this cleaving strike. So it sounds okay, but you've got to be surrounded a lot to have that happen, and that's not going to happen very much. Blade maintenance allows your blade to last longer before it deteriorates. And one of these, probably one or both of those, is going to be that you need to be tier 2 in swords. Axes, you can get these 3. This first one allows you to sort of lunge forward, so you can attack up to 2 tiles away rather than just 1 tile away, and attack doing 120% damage with a 30% chance to bleed. So I've used this one a lot, and these other 2 are just passive ones that this one decreases your cooldown, and this one, if you injure somebody, it reduces the duration and the cooldown for the things. This one, you get a chance you get an increased accuracy in critical every time you hit a target. So basically, once you start hitting a target, your accuracy to hit that target increases. We don't have a mace in here, although we will find some, although I think technically that iron bar is considered a mace as well, so we could actually keep that. That does 15 damage, but not as much as the homemade sword does. 18. That axe does 21, and that does 27, and that does 17. So what we're just quickly looking at, maces, I could go with maces and onslaught. 15% of energy gone from the target and a 50% chance to knock back. And then if you do knock the enemy back, you advance and get an extra minus 70% damage and 40% daze chance. So that's actually quite a good one if I was to go down maces. Dazing strike, maces have a 5% chance to daze. I think those are the only two in the first level. Daggers, I think you get that one, and that one in the first level. I don't think you get painful stab, I don't remember. From the shadows, attacks against unaware enemies gain plus 20% damage. And see, I don't know how that really works, because I've not seen an enemy yet who wasn't aware of me. Double lunge, so you deliver 2 strikes with minus 15% damage and 25% bleed chance. If both strikes connects, cooldown is reduced. And then quick hands, if your second loadout holds a dagger, switching to it doesn't end turn. So that would be good. I could put my bow in my first loadout and daggers in my second, and I'd be able to switch daggers without losing a turn. Great swords, I don't remember which one of these you get either, but feint swing sets the target's enemy dodge and counterback. So this one really doesn't do much damage, but you're feinting so that your opponent loses, what was it? Accuracy. Oh, no, block and counter and dodge. You know what? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to go sword. So I'm going to keep this sword here. We do find other swords in the game. So I'm going to go sword and dagger for the moment. But I think actually what I'm going to do is my first loadout is going to be the bow and arrows, and then W to switch to my other loadout, which is going to be sword and dagger. And when I find another sword, I'm going to replace it. So there we go. I've picked up the equipment. I don't know why this doesn't stop highlighting, because we've got all the equipment that we can. Well, we haven't picked up everything in that, but we're not going to carry it all. So now I just get into the habit of searching for traps as soon as I open a door, basically. Let's put a couple of arrows downrange. The other thing I didn't point out is that you'll notice that our accuracy with a bow is only 25%. Once we do get to the point of switching to the sword, you'll see what our accuracy gets to. So we're not hitting very often at all with the bow. I'm going to switch to the sword now because he's going to be able to move there, and I don't want to have to lose a turn. Okay, so now our accuracy is 90%. It would actually be 100%, I think, if we were just using a sword by itself, but because we're dual wielding, you lose a little bit of accuracy. So see how quick that was to take out the opponent with the sword, particularly using dual wielding. So now we can level up. So we get to add 2 points to whatever we want. Now we can spread them out or we can keep them in the same one. I like perception and agility. Perception gives you your range damage, but it also gives you your accuracy and your crit chance and your ability to do stealth and vision and bonus range. Personally, I would almost in some cases just level perception and nothing else. But I'm also going to do agility as well, because that gives me my dodge and my counter chance. You'll notice sometimes that you will attack and you might hit your opponent will attack, and then you'll attack back because you get the ability to counter sometimes. I don't know if your opponent does. I haven't really noticed it all that much, but I'm going to put points into those too, and then we need to improve our skills as well. So, oh, that's right, because it wants you to take. Oh no, we don't use those yet. Sorry. There's another shiv there, but I don't want it because I've already got a shiv, and it probably won't be any better than the one I want. And eventually, I want to replace my shiv with another sword. I didn't search this room, so look, you can take the alcoholic beverages because they reduce pain if you really want to. So I will take them, I think, but personally I'm not a big drinker. And
Bah, a pyromantic treatise. Just like the good old times in the academy. Got to recall a spell or two.
okay, so now it wants us to pick this up, read it. It's unlocked those, and you don't have to go through and read any of that if you don't want to, but you can pause it and read it if you want to. So now if we go into skills, it wants us to spend our skill point in pyromancy so that we get the fire barrage spell. And it's like a little magic missile type of thing. It launches 3 fire bolts that each do 6 points of damage. There's no way to increase the amount of damage it does, anything like that. So I just go with it. So might as well use it because look, he's at the exact distance that you can cast this spell, so it's almost sort of made for you to do that. I'll get off one arrow and switch back to my blades. I should have kept my bow out. As soon as I finish combat, I should pick up my bow straight away. Now we've just picked up another treatise. No, sorry, this is the monastic book. That's right. So this just gives you some information about what's going on in this monastery that you're in. Again, you can read that if you want to. The important thing here is we've got a diary page here. I'll talk about that important thing in a sec. Let's go to the next room. Let's head down. And this incidentally is the save point that it will get you to if you die anywhere along here. Now, I don't know what's going to happen here. I might die. I hope I don't. But when I was playing, when this game first came out, only the prologue was available. So I got that and played that. And just before I bought this game the other day, I was replaying that prologue because I'd never finished it. And I couldn't. I played it. I probably got to the boss battle about 6 times and could not complete it. When I bought this game, though, and started playing, it forces you, because you've never done the prologue before, it forces you to do the prologue the first time, and I killed the boss first time. So I don't know whether it was something right that I was doing at that point or what it was, but I had no problems whatsoever killing the boss the first time. So let's see what happens this time. Okay, I'm going through all of this now. As I was going to say, you get this geomantic treatise. This is another branch of magic, so I'm going to read that and let that go through. But I'm going to put these books, because I don't want them anymore, away. And these are the 3 diary pages, which you can, of course, read. You don't have to, but you can, of course, read. And they tell you a little bit about what's been happening. A different point of view of what's been happening. Read. So the 10th of Reaping was the first one, the 14th of Reaping, and then this last one is all covered in blood, and you can make out some of that. So anything I'm not, as I said before, anything I don't want, I'm not keeping. So this is telling me now about the identification scrolls. So there's 3 main scrolls in this. I'm going to use this right now to work out what this ring is. This is a steady silver ring, and it's going to increase my block power. It's going to give me some health restoration and healing efficiency, so I'm going to definitely use that. But I don't need to keep any of those books or any of those, so I'm going to put them all away and not waste them just taking up space in my inventory, because as I said, I can't do anything with them. I can't sell anything I keep, because you don't actually play this character after you get through the boss battle in this prologue. Yes, the other scrolls that we've got. So we have an enchantment scroll, and we have a disenchantment scroll. I'm actually going to leave the disenchantment scroll here, because I've never really used it. Before the boss battle, I'm going to use any enchantment scrolls I have found to enhance any of the weapons that I've got, but I'm not going to use them until that point. So we've got to find our way to the finale from here. First things first, search for traps. I think this is all randomly generated from now on. I don't recall this being exactly the same each time. So we're just going to see how things go. And I should have switched over to my bow while I was traveling around. Sporaphic sponge. So this is spophoric sponge, I think it is. Basically another way of reducing pain and increasing intoxication. I probably won't use this one though, because it really doesn't do very much. I'll bring the rag along because it's a crude form of bandage if I was to run out of those bandages. But I've also noticed that bandages fix the bleed. 10, 1, 1, 1, 15, 20, 25. No, it's slightly worse durability. Okay, leeches. Bandages and these rags can help you with the bleed. I have not really suffered the bleed affliction, I suppose is condition, very often in the game. There aren't too many opponents that can actually inflict bleed on you. So don't go out of your way to carry a huge number of them. It probably won't help you all that much. Okay, those guys are fairly hard initially to fight with, but I'm now in a state called Second Wind, where I've got extra fortitude and extra healing efficiency, etc. I'm just going to move there so that I can see the rest of the room. I'm going to do a search for traps, but then what I'm going to do is, I don't actually have to close that door because none of those that door there wasn't open, and I have yet to see the enemies actually open doors. But what I'm going to do is just check on my health here. So I took a little bit of damage to the head and a little bit of damage to this hand. I don't have a huge number of, each one of these healing salves will do 3 heals, so I don't have a huge number of these at the moment, but I will just do 1 heal on each of these. Now, you've got leeches, but I don't like using them, because while they last, they give you a sort of a body part heal over time. Their negative effects just aren't very good. So we're going to sit and rest here after each battle to get our health back. And once, so yeah, when I said before fixing these doesn't fix your health, you will have noticed there was a little grey bar in the background. That's your maximum health that you can be. If I hadn't have repaired those, it wouldn't go all the way up, and you can in fact see there's a tiny, tiny little gap right there. That's because my left hand is still only at 2%. It would look like it was 100% like this one, if I had repaired that. So that's a militia flail. I don't want it though. I'm not using crushing weapons, so I'm going to end up dropping that again. But I'm just keeping an eye out for better weapons, basically. Switch to the bow so that I've got long-ranged weapon when I first go into a room. Try not to say that too often. Okay, so we've got at least one enemy in this room, but there could be more down here. At the moment, the bow isn't as useful to us because there's one skill that you can get, or the first skill that you take for the bow that actually makes it useful-ish. Because it basically you lose a turn to aim your shot so that the next time you get a plus 50 accuracy bonus, which basically means that you can hit reliably with the bow on those shots. So there's some sinewy raw meat down here. I'm going to take that. Oh, there was a trap right there. I'm glad we found that. Let's disarm that. And that succeeded. Very good. Let's just break the rest of these. I have occasionally had opponents come through doors when I've been oh, there's another stack of arrows. That's good. We did that shelf, didn't we? Yeah. I think I picked up some wine that I didn't really want. Yes, I did. Okay, so with our extra stack of arrows, let's go up this way first. Switch to the bow. Ooh, an unlocked door. Very nice. I've actually also never seen a trap in a corridor either, but I don't take the chance. Usually as soon as I open a door or stand in the threshold of a room, I do that, do the scan. So let's switch back to our weapons here. That's some sort of statue thing. I don't recall having seen that before, but it doesn't appear to be anything. That's locked. Let's come over here. Another bandage. I might drop this rag off because you can only use these once, but the little white pips there indicate you can use these twice. So that one bandage that we got there is the equivalent of those two. I don't want to waste space. I'm actually also tempted to drop those leeches off too because I'm really not going to use them. Okay, so there's a fist shield and more leeches. I'm not going to take any of those, but I'm going to throw those leeches away. This raw sinewy meat, I wouldn't eat it raw, but you can. But we'd also need to find somewhere to cook it, and I don't recall if there is anything, unless we're really randomly lucky. I don't recall if there's anything in here where you can cook. But the mechanic is in the game. Actually, is there any... Can I just... No. Oh, I can go pick. There we go. That's the way to do it. So you just learned something same as I have. Right-click on the door and go pick rather than going into your inventory. Nothing on the shelf. Not all chests are locked either. Some are unlocked. Okay, so this is a short dagger. This is going to do more damage than the shiv is, so we're going to swap that out because the shiv was doing 16 and that's also doing 16, but this has got better bleed chance and block and all that sort of stuff. This is an unidentified chest piece. I don't know if I want to identify either of these. I do want to take the salve. Like, I do have 2 identification scrolls, but that looks just like a shirt. It might have some good abilities on it, but okay. Okay, got my next level. Let's just pick up those arrows. So let's just check. We got some. So you see how that's all black back there, and there's a tiny little slither of grey there. If I heal, you'll see you've got that little bit of grey. So my health can only go up to that 86 value now, not the full 99. And we'll do that, and that's going to be close. You could go the full way, but you will heal that over time. The only other thing apart from agility and perception that I would consider taking is vitality, which increases your health and your health restoration. But for now, I'm going to take agility and perception and just keep getting better at hitting things. And then I'm going to come into my skills, and now it's going to let me choose some of these others. I'm going to choose ranged weapons first. This is the one that I talked about, take aim. It has a really short cooldown, but it gives you better accuracy and better damage with your bow. So there's another flail there, which again we'll just drop in a sec. Okay, oops. What's that looking like? I mean, it's an okay flail, but we don't want it. And let's just make sure we've got all those arrows done correctly. I never actually checked to see if there was traps in that room. Thankfully there wasn't. Okay, see, that door was unlocked. Okay, so this is the exit to the next level. We're not going to do that yet because there's more to explore here. There's an apple right there if I can get to it. So let's come back over here. What am I doing? Pick. And silly me, forgot to switch to my bow before. He's trying to stun me. So that daze effect that he's just done has meant that I can't use any of my abilities. I'm still going to keep shooting. Ooh. But okay, I can't see him at the moment, but I'm going to take a chance that he's going to move into one of these squares that I can see. So I'm going to use this ability, take aim. Great. Now he's moved into the square. Ah, but he's at an angle where I can't get him. I can get this rat though. So I just killed that rat with one hit. So, you know, because I'd used take aim, it was so easy. I'll use it again. I could go for him there. Okay, I'm not going to use take aim again now because he'll be able to attack me from that square there. So I'm just going to switch to weapons. There we go. So it took a little bit more damage. Just want to make sure there's no one else in this room. All good. And same old thing. That's enough now, and let's rest to get as good as we can out of that. And you will see that over time that rest of those body parts will heal. We have to be aware that our pain is at 27%. Now over time that will go away, but we're also hungry and thirsty. At the moment all we have to eat is a carrot, an apple, and this raw food. But can I use that to cook? No, I can't. That's annoying. I don't want to eat that. Morale isn't that important. I'm just going to eat all of this stuff and have a drink. That didn't affect my hunger at all. What happened there? I mean, sure, drinking is helping my thirst, but eating that food didn't seem to do anything. Okay, there's an onion as well, so let's eat that. Yeah, foods mustn't have been doing much good. I didn't actually check that room for traps before, did I? Okay. Oh, even more arrows. I'm going to have to drop some arrows soon because there's no way I need that many arrows. I might start using arrows to open boxes, barrels and stuff, I think, rather than going up to them, hitting them with the sword. Was there anywhere else that we haven't been yet? We've been there, we've been there. Oh, all the way back over here. Which door did I close? I closed that one. Another sword, very good. So now, and we've got some unidentified boots. Those boots are probably worth identifying. I'll take that splint. Hopefully I won't need it. So let's switch our weapons back. So now we can have the guild blade in one hand and that one in the other. We'll get rid of that because we don't need it. Let's identify the boots. Metabolic hide boots. So they're hide boots that give us +1 protection, and they increase our healing efficiency and energy. Throw that away. Did say I was going to use the bow for all that, didn't I? And what's in the shelf? Nothing. We really need some food. But anyway, where's our exit from the level? And looking at how long this has run, we've probably run a little bit over from normal, but that's fine. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Stoneshard, and I will see you for the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.